And so if we conduct this election according to this modified single transferable vote, Begich will actually be the Condorcet winner. Begich will have a diversity score of 2, because this is one ranking, this is another ranking. These voters don't contribute because they don't rank the Palin and Peltola candidates.
Sorry, I missed something.
Yeah.
You say that in this very case, when this there is a violation of single picketness, this
Yes.
is 2% to 2.5. Should we erase this rankings, or
we don't? No, we don't erase the rankings, but we'll say that these rankings don't contribute to the candidate's diversity score.
Okay. So you do not. Okay.
You have to meet a threshold of 5%, say 5%.
Okay. Good.
And if you don't meet the threshold, then you don't contribute to the diversity score. So it will still be the case, endogenously speaking, that the candidate in the middle, Begich in this case, will have a higher diversity score than the candidates on the extremes. And so this profile cannot be manipulated by strategic voting for the same reasons that we saw before. It's not quite single peaked, but the violations of single peakedness are below the threshold. Okay, so this is the empirical contribution to the paper. The fact that that in reality, yes, there are some violations of single peakedness, but they're all below a fairly low threshold of 5% or so, and therefore they don't interfere with the modified single transferable vote scheme being resistant to strategic manipulation. And that actually concludes what I want to say. I'm actually hoping that the system that I've described to you might be introduced, because states which are already using single transferable voting to elect their political leaders, it would be a small step to go from regular single transferable vote to single transferable vote with diversity score. That wouldn't be a huge reform, but it would have two very great benefits. It would, first of all, it would elect the Condorcet winner, and the Condorcet winner, I think, is a better indication of who the population supports than the single transferable vote winner. A Condorcet winner truly has to beat every other candidate by a majority. So you'd get that benefit. And the other benefit is that the voting system that I've described to you is actually resistant to strategic voting. And that's beneficial too. It makes it much easier for voters to vote. They don't have to worry about strategic considerations. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's really very, very interesting. Okay, let's switch to questions and discussions. Please, questions or remarks or comments?
Yeah, may I say something?
Yes, but it's true.
I consider that single picketness is a very natural very natural condition, and voters can be asked to transform their indefinite preferences into a form of single-picketedness,
Right.
to participating in the elections. This is typical in the companies currently in internet sites. They always request that we do something, the users. So this can be an option.
That's right. That's right.
Great.
Good comment.
Eric, and I have some question or comment, I don't know. You see, the idea is really very brilliant with this diversity score. And I thought when you introduced it, you see, it's absolutely new thing. Might it be some kind, you see, to look at this from the point of view of entropy, you see? Because really, you see, this is, it's a jump in terms of this very good organization of preferences, and this is some kind of moving out of this good organization might be interesting. And another thing, this is also, in fact, it is increasing of entropy. This cases when the left and right comes together. You see.
Right.
So this might be considered in this very thing, and that might be very interesting, you see, to work on. And wait a minute, and there is another couple of questions from these people who are listening. Is there any extension to multidimensional case? For example, when we place candidates on different axes for different aspects of their views,
No,
economics,
this
foreign
cannot
policy,
be,
etc.
so this cannot be extended to multi-dimensions. But as I said, empirically, one dimension works. It's true that in the theoretical literature, people sometimes say, oh, voters have multidimensional preferences. And perhaps in some cases they really do, but for the elections for which we actually have voters' rankings, they are single peaked in one dimension.
Yeah.
And that's important because if it were two dimensions, then the scheme that actually there are two problems with two-dimensional single peakness. First, there may not be a Condorcet winner. One dimension guarantee is a Condorcet winner. Two dimensions does not, but also the voting system that I've shown you will not be strategy resistant in two dimensions. So the short answer to the question is no, this does not generalize, but the empirical evidence that we have, at least so far, we don't have a huge number of elections that have been conducted with single transferable voting, but on the basis of the ones that we can see, real voters' preferences are single peaked in one dimension.
Yeah, very good. And second question, it is, as I said, this is, we translated, there are more than 170 people, so the questions came from them.
Yeah.
Which election system is the best in your opinion?
Which ranking system is the best?
Election system. Which
election system. Okay,
is the best in your opinion?
Okay, so I do actually have an opinion on that, but the answer depends on the circumstances. For elections where strategic manipulation is not a big concern. And I would say that that's probably true for professional societies or academic departments where voters are much more concerned with quality than they are with their own personal, getting their own favorite candidates elected. In those circumstances where strategic manipulation is not a big worry because we don't think voters will do it, I favor the Borda system, which I was talking about before. In fact, I wrote a paper on this subject, which I presented in your seminar, Fuad, some time ago. The paper is now coming out in the Journal of Political Economy, arguing that Borda really is the best system according to the arrow axioms. But the arrow axioms don't include strategic manipulation. If you do have strategic manipulation, as you certainly will in a political election like this one in Alaska, then I think that Condorcet voting using the diversity score to drop candidates is the best method. So those are my two favorites, depending on the circumstances of the election.
You know, Eric, I gave an answer to such question, similar question, at the end of 1970s. Tom Schwartz came to Moscow, and after being in the institute, we came to sit in the car. At that time, Academy of Science gave cars, and we had to go to restaurant or theater, I don't remember. And when we sat in the car, he said, "Why you have so bad, so strange electoral system when you don't have alternatives, etc." And you understand that it's a car of academy. I understand that everything is recorded. If I say yes, it's a bad system, tomorrow I will be kicked out of the institute. And I answered him, you know, that according to Arrow's theorem, if we have more candidates, then we come to the dictatorial system. So this is the best one. After that, he repeated this very answer many times when I came to America in some conferences, etc. He told that was answer about the best electoral system. Okay, there is one more question. Thank you. From point of common sense, from the point of view of common sense, is there any explanation why it is fair to give more points for diversity?
Let me give you two answers to that. The first is that one reason for having an election is to make a compromise over different voters' preferences. Voters can't all get what they most prefer. If they all had the same preferences, life would be easy, but life is complicated and different people have different preferences. And so one reason for having an election in the first place is to try to find a compromise between these different points of view. And a diversity score is a measure of to what extent a particular candidate represents different points of view. So from that standpoint, I think diversity score makes a lot of sense. But the second answer is just a practical one, which is that it will be in a world where voters' preferences are single peaked, a diversity score is a proxy for political centrism. For candidates who are more in the middle of the distribution will have higher diversity scores. And to the extent that in a polarized world, we want to bridge the gap between two extremes, a diversity score is a good measure, sort of endogenous measure for doing that. As I said, we can't go out and officially designate Begich as the centrist candidate. That would be very non-neutral, but we can observe that Begich is also the candidate with the highest diversity score. The diversity score is a proxy for centrism.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Some other questions, comments, remarks? No? Eric, I heard when you gave talk Bowen, I didn't know about this name even, you see.
Sorry, you didn't know about what?
Bowen, you
Oh, Bowen. This is Howard Bowen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a very nice paper from the early 1940s on voting over public good levels using Condorcet.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And do you have a copy of this paper or something?
I don't, but I'm
You
sure
don't?
you can find if you type in the words Howard Bowen, voting, Condorcet, or majority rule, you will find it.
Fantastic. I didn't know about this work. In fact, you see, maybe you remember in my office, Condorcet's portrait is just in the center of the room. So
Yep.
yeah.
Well, I mean, Condorcet, as I was saying, Condorcet and Borda are my two heroes when it comes to voting. The curious fact is that they were actually great rivals. They were contemporaries in Paris in the late 18th century, and Condorcet was pushing for Condorcet voting. Borda was pushing for Borda voting. But there's a sense in which their respective methods really 250 years later are still the best. So they are both my heroes.
I always tell students that Condorcet's impact to social sciences is equal to the impact of Newton to hard sciences, but unfortunately, everybody knows Newton, but very few people know Condorcet.
Well, we will try to change that and make Condorcet
Good
better
idea.
known.
Good idea. And about Borda, there is I don't know, maybe it's anecdote, maybe not. When he proposed his system in this French Academy, somebody told him that it is vulnerable to the manipulation. Well, not in this terminology.
Yep.
But, and his answer was, I don't know, again, you see, maybe it's anecdote. His answer was that my system is for honest people.
Exactly. And that's absolutely right. In settings where you can count on honesty, border really is the best, and I try to make that point in my
In your
paper.
thematic analysis. Yeah.
But there's no question that the border system is highly vulnerable to manipulation, and in those circumstances where manipulation is a real possibility, Condorcet is the one to choose.
Yes. Thank you very much. Again, some questions, etc. No? Eric, thank you very much. It was really very interesting, very nice, and I hope not very far away. I mean, in time, you will be able to come and tell us new
Yes.
results in person in Moscow.
Yeah, I would love to be able to visit you in Moscow. Obviously, I can't do that now, but
Yeah,
maybe sometime in the near future.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Tomorrow
you.
we have the second day of our autumn school.
Okay.
So bye-bye, everybody,
Bye-
and
bye.
thank you very much.
Bye-bye.